Many people out there have been speculating on that Meghan Markle has lied about her age. Is she actually older?
There's nothing original here.
I hope you're having the best birthday you've ever had. Thank you for everything.
Which is really such a fake.
I'm going to quote Tom Bauer by saying, he said, look, we all laughed at Samantha and she was right. And everything she said has come true.
Speculation has swirled for years around one of the most provocative questions in modern royal history. Did Meghan Markle misrepresent her age? What if the most elaborate deception of the decade didn't originate from palace intrigue, but from Meghan herself?
And there was something, in my opinion, missing in their eyes. It didn't seem real to me.
For years, one voice, Samantha Markle, persisted with claims the world dismissed as conspiracy. Yet time has a way of validating uncomfortable truths. Meghan's carefully crafted narrative contains inconsistencies that demand examination.
And there's a very big difference. It was deliberate.
While media outlets portrayed her as a flawless, self-made Hollywood success story, Samantha questioned the mathematical foundation of Meghan's official age, a foundation proving as fragile as the fairy tale surrounding her royal departure.
I'll tell you why. What she told the royal family, what she told Harry, wouldn't have jived, wouldn't have been consistent with the truth.
Every birthday celebration, every milestone photo shoot commemorating her 40th year. What if the candles represented an incorrect count all along? This transcends simple family discord.
There's nothing original here.
I hope you're having the best birthday you've ever had. Thank you for everything.
Which is really such a fake.
It's a carefully orchestrated numbers game concealed beneath designer fashion and palace public relations machinery. When Samantha initially raised these concerns, Meghan's supporters dismissed her as envious, bitter, and irrelevant. Yet time possesses a remarkable ability to reverse narratives. Not suddenly, vintage magazine features, family photographs, and hospital documentation timelines suggest Samantha's supposedly outrageous theory might contain substantial truth.
I remember when she was born, big new addition to the family, and we just have a very young sister here.
If Meghan genuinely manipulated her personal timeline, if the Duchess of Reinvention actually rewrote her age, then royal authenticity becomes theatrical costume rather than crown jewels. Once you begin unraveling that single thread, the entire fairy tale risks complete disintegration. Behind every meticulously curated Instagram caption exists a hidden draft never intended for public consumption. Full. Meghan's concealed draft might reveal a completely different birth date, an alternate origin story, carefully erased from official records.
When she said, I lost my father, we knew that she didn't lose our dad, she iced our father.
Before the world knew Meghan Markle as a duchess, Samantha Markle identified her as something entirely different. A mystery wrapped in missing years. Long before Netflix documentaries and palace press releases dominated headlines, Samantha quietly held family memories that refused to align with public timelines.
Her childhood was with me.
Show birthdays that mysteriously shifted dates, school photographs with questionable timestamps, personal histories that contradicted official narratives. When she dared question these discrepancies, the world slammed every door. They branded her bitter and jealous, but Samantha possessed something more powerful than envy, documented evidence. Childhood moments where Meghan claimed to be 9 years old, yet family photographs depicted a teenager. Life milestones that magically relocated across years on official documents, as though her existence had undergone post-production editing. Samantha wasn't spreading malicious gossip.
I got it through high school. I got it through college.
She was connecting evidence dots the media deliberately refused to examine. As Meghan's brand luminosity intensified, Samantha's warnings became buried deeper beneath positive press coverage. Yet she never surrendered because this transcended gossip. It was mathematical geometry. The numbers fundamentally didn't fit, and no quantity of royal glamour could resolve the broken equation. When Samantha finally spoke publicly, she wasn't ranting. She was pleading for reality acknowledgement. If she's lying about something this seemingly insignificant, Samantha suggested, what other elements lack authenticity?
She delivered it like an actress delivered it.
But apparently for me, that doesn't matter.
That single observation fractured Meghan's glossy public image facade, spreading quietly like whispered rumors that refused to die. Once the first domino topples, the remaining pieces inevitably follow. Samantha wasn't alone in her observations. Her father, Thomas Markle, was listening intently. When he finally broke his silence, everything Meghan constructed began to destabilize. What Thomas remembered challenged more than her story. It completely inverted the narrative.
In my opinion, she would still be a waitress if it wasn't for Dad.
Thomas Markle never intended to become entangled in royal mystery. He was simply a devoted father, camera perpetually ready, documenting birthdays, school performances, and precious milestones. Yet years later, when Meghan's official biography reached international press, something triggered profound unease. The dates appeared too perfectly aligned, the timelines excessively polished. Thomas vividly remembered driving a teenage daughter to auditions when official records claimed she barely attended middle school.
How can you get your age so wrong?
Initially, he questioned his own memory. Perhaps decades blurred together, but vintage photographs told a dramatically different story. Captions, certificates, and memories that stubbornly refused to match the official Meghan Markle timeline saturating magazine covers worldwide. The more Thomas compared documentation, the stranger discrepancies became. If Meghan's birth occurred in August 1981, why did family events, educational transcripts, and personal correspondence place her several years older? To Thomas, this wasn't royal intrigue. It was fundamental arithmetic failures.
This is a copy of 17 magazine, and it was published in March of 1997. In it, it mentions our Megsy is from Los Angeles and that she was 21 years old at the time of publication. That would make her birth year at around 1976.
Fundamental arithmetic failure. He'd affirm, I know precisely what age my daughter reached when she acquired her first vehicle, her first employment, her first heartbreak. None of these memories aligned with the narrative Meghan's public relations team and palace communications packaged for global consumption.
So there is something that is not connecting. There is something that is not right.
When he cautiously mentioned these timeline inconsistencies, media outlets dismissed him as confused. But Thomas wasn't fumbling dates. He was recalling details permanently burned into a father's consciousness. The graduation dress, the birthday dinner celebration, the year stamped on a forgotten family Christmas card. That's when profound realization struck. If the woman featured in palace press releases didn't match the daughter he raised, then a comprehensively rewritten narrative had been sold to the world, and he unintentionally possessed the original, unedited script.
But if you look at this, Meghan Markle has been incredibly quiet about the birth, but mostly the pregnancy of these children. Everything has been shady. The one who's been blabbing and saying crazy things is Prince Harry.
For years, Meghan's defenders insisted no concrete proof existed, merely family conversation and unreliable memories. Then internet researchers discovered something irrefutable, ink on paper. A March 1997 issue of 17 magazine listed Meghan Markle, 21, prominently among young women featured in a lifestyle article. Not 15, not 16, 21 years old. Printed, published, permanently archived. Permanently archived. Ravta, that single documented line transformed the debate from speculation into concrete documentation. If Meghan's official birth year is 1981, she would have been a high school sophomore that spring, far too young to be featured as an adult model. Yet there the evidence existed, clear as daylight, published long before royal fame or public relations sophistication could manipulate the narrative.
And when you're pregnant, there's not a pillow under your skirt. And there's live footage of her walking towards camera with her abdomen swaying left to right in a black and white checkered dress.
Skeptics attempted explanations, perhaps a typographical error, possibly another Meghan, but even doubters acknowledged the odds are microscopically small. The photograph, the name, the California connection, everything aligned too perfectly. Suddenly, Samantha's supposedly jealous accusations no longer resembled envy, they looked like prophetic foresight. The magazine page became the first tangible artifact of an alternate timeline, existing long before cameras, crowns, and controversy. Digital rumors can vanish without trace. Tweets can be deleted instantly. But printed publications don't lie. That 1997 magazine page wasn't merely an article. It was a smoking gun, quietly waiting for the world to notice. When two conflicting timelines collide, only one can survive. And Meghan's might not be the version written in permanent ink. Two dramatically different versions of Meghan Markle's life now confront each other. One version carved in official royal documentation, the other sketched in pencil by those who actually lived alongside her. The official Meghan, born August 4, 1981, progresses through life with precisely documented public milestones, Los Angeles schooling, acting breakthroughs throughout her 20s, royal fame emerging in her 30s, perfectly linear, perfectly curated. Then exists the alternative version, the pencil sketch Samantha and Thomas describe. A Meghan already a young adult by the mid-1990s, appearing in magazines marketed toward adults who didn't merely bend timelines, but potentially rewrote them completely.
The doctor has come forward and has absolutely revealed, and you're going to listen to her. She has absolutely revealed and confirmed that Meghan Markle was never pregnant, never gave birth to any children.
In one version, she's 37 when Archie is born. In the alternative version, she's already reached her early 40s. That's not a rounding error. It's an entirely different life story. The contrast resembles two parallel scripts, one polished for press releases, the other scribbled in family scrapbooks. The palace swears by official records, but accumulating evidence keeps whispering something contradictory.
Here, the doctor talks about both the children, and listen to what she says.
So you tell me to tell you something that maybe a dozen people actually know that's going to come out very soon. Okay. Meghan Markle, the reason why you watch her interviews and she just seems off, she's owned by a pharmaceutical company. The two children that she had, they're not hers. She didn't have them with Harry. And how her and Harry met is that she's a prostitute.
Which version represents reality? The glossy authorized biography or the version that never survived editorial approval? If the ink timeline was constructed for image management, the pencil version appears dangerously human. Messy, unfiltered, and far less regally perfect. When you compare those two age calculations side by side, another explosive question emerges. How do the pregnancies fit into either timeline? Because if the mathematical foundation is flawed there, the entire illusion begins collapsing everywhere. When Meghan announced her pregnancy, headlines proclaimed a royal miracle at 37. Cameras flashed brilliantly, fans celebrated worldwide, and palace communications called the timing perfectly orchestrated. But beneath the glamorous surface, numbers whispered something dramatically different. If the mid-1970s birth year contains any truth, that means Meghan was 42 or 43 when Archie arrived, a range medical professionals classify as high-risk territory. That single detail completely inverts the effortless fairy tale pregnancy narrative. Pregnancies after age 40 typically require extensive additional monitoring, advanced medical screenings, and prolonged hospital stays, none of which fit the seamless image released to the world. The maternity photographs looked editorially perfect, the timelines airtight, the recovery almost cinematically flawless, too smooth, too heavily edited.
And you're wondering, why does her age matter at all? Because her age would also have an impact on her ability to have children. Because if Meghan Markle is 4 years older than what we have been led to believe, it makes it even more difficult to believe that she was able to get pregnant so quickly.
Medical professionals quietly highlighted what tabloids ignored. Older mothers face substantially greater risks, longer recovery periods, and stricter post-birth observation protocols. Yet Meghan's story unfolded like a luxury spa brochure. Candles, smiles, perfect lighting conditions. If she truly was in her 40s, the extraordinary secrecy surrounding her delivery suddenly makes complete sense. The private hospital selection, the undisclosed medical staff, the conspicuously missing birth certificate details, all components of the same control script. This is where the age question stops being merely cosmetic and becomes critically important. Age isn't simply a vanity number. It determines medical risk, recovery capacity, and fundamental reality. If the mathematical calculation shifts even slightly, so does the truth behind those carefully staged photographs. And Harry's own memoir would soon inadvertently reveal something no public relations team could erase. The birth details didn't match standard hospital procedures whatsoever. Prince Harry's memoir was intended to humanize the couple, but instead it accidentally fractured their fairy tale. His warm recollection of Archie's birth sounded picture perfect. Soft music, flickering candles, calm voices, 2 epidural administrations, and a glowing Meghan walking from the hospital mere hours later. It was cinematically beautiful, almost excessively cinematic. But when medical experts reviewed the account, they didn't swoon with admiration. They raised professional eyebrows.
Never mind the hysterectomy stories that her family have told, but that would make it more difficult because that would make Meghan Markle near 50.
Portland Hospital, renowned for luxury maternity care, still follows strict post-epidural monitoring regulations. Patients typically rest under medical observation for several hours, sometimes overnight. Walking immediately after multiple epidural administrations? Physiologically impossible according to medical professionals. Yet in Harry's retelling, Meghan was upright, radiant, and headed home before administrative paperwork dried. Doctors quietly noted the glaring gaps: the discharge timing, the absent recovery details, the logistics of leaving a secure central London hospital while newborn examinations were supposedly still underway. Everything about the timeline felt compressed, painting a fundamental contradiction. Either Meghan's delivery defied standard medical procedure or the story was massaged for image purposes. If the latter proves true, what motivated the alteration? Privacy concerns or performance management? Hospital protocols aren't flexible fairy tales. They're hard medical science, and Harry's dreamy account clashed with every available medical outline. When the exact hours of that night were reconstructed, the illusion shattered completely. The mathematics didn't just bend, it broke. When the birth timeline is analyzed minute by minute, it begins resembling less a royal event and more an unsolvable riddle. According to Harry's own published words, Meghan delivered, received 2 epidural administrations, recovered fully, and left Portland Hospital in roughly 2 hours. 2 hours. 2 hours. That's barely sufficient time to process anesthesia effects, let alone safely discharge a new mother and newborn infant. Medical professionals reviewing the account called it physically improbable. After epidural administration, patients typically remain under observation for at least 6 hours to ensure legs regain full strength and vital signs stabilize. Walking immediately afterward, a Hollywood fantasy. Yet Harry's story portrayed Meghan standing, smiling, and heading home as though she'd just completed a photo shoot. Then consider the journey. Approximately 1 hour from Portland Hospital to Frogmore Cottage. Factor in mandatory post-birth medical checks, infant transfer procedures, security coordination, and administrative paperwork, and the mathematics implodes. The timeline isn't merely tight, it's impossible. No royal convoy moves that rapidly without cutting corners or cutting truth. Even supporters began whispering, why the rush? What was so urgent that they'd condense a major medical event into a brief montage? Some speculate privacy motivation, others suspect image control. Regardless, the story's precision feels suspiciously cinematic, every beat choreographed to perfection. If Meghan truly departed within hours of labor, she bypassed medical norms that even the most discreet royal births respected. And if the account was massaged for optics, it raises one haunting question. If they edited the timeline of a birth, what other elements in this royal narrative were rewritten for effect? Because a 2-hour miracle creates a beautiful headline. But in the real world, it's a script that simply cannot exist. Every celebrity reinvents themselves periodically. But Meghan Markle didn't just rebrand, she rebuilt from foundation to facade. The transition from supporting television actress to global duchess wasn't evolution, it was transformation by deliberate design. Every interview, every quotation, every Instagram caption functioned like brushstrokes painting a new version of her identity, one immune to her past, her critics, and perhaps even her own timeline. Hollywood calls it image control. The palace calls it optics management. Meghan mastered both disciplines. By the time royal spotlight arrived, the woman who entered Buckingham Palace wasn't the same person her family remembered. She was a new construct, age-adjusted, narrative streamlined, edges softened for mass appeal, the messy components deleted, the inconvenient dates blurred into obscurity. This transcends vanity, it's survival strategy. In the world Meghan entered, perception becomes reality. Once a story catches global fire, correcting it becomes impossible. You can't fact-check a fairy tale, you can only decide whether to continue believing it. That's what makes Samantha and Thomas's memories so dangerous. They aren't alternate facts, they're anchors. They pull the image back towards something unfiltered, something human, something the palace machinery cannot polish. Perhaps this was never solely about age. Perhaps it concerned control, about owning the narrative before anyone else could. Because in Meghan's world, truth isn't something you live, it's something you edit. And once the edit successfully sticks, the world forgets there was ever a first draft. When you align the clues, Samantha's memories, Thomas's timelines, the 17 magazine proof, and that impossible hospital story one truth becomes clear. Meghan Markle's public image didn't just evolve, it was methodically engineered. A life edited frame by frame until even birth dates started bending to fit the narrative. Perhaps it began as harmless branding strategy. Perhaps it became habitual. But when every detail from age to pregnancy begins looking rehearsed, the line between authenticity and performance disappears completely. This isn't about envy or gossip. It's about how easily truth gets lost when cameras never stop rolling. If this investigation left you questioning what else has been carefully concealed behind that polished royal curtain, you need to see what happened next. In our previous deep dive, a certain outspoken British host shocked live television when he revealed never-before-seen Soho House photographs and dropped a truth bomb the world wasn't prepared to hear. It's the moment that transformed how everyone perceived Meghan's rise, and it connects directly to what you just discovered. Before you scroll away, click and continue watching. That investigation doesn't just expose additional secrets, it explains why this entire illusion may have been crafted from the very beginning. You're watching Star Spotlight, where the lights are bright, but the truth burns brighter. Stay tuned, hit subscribe. The next revelation is already waiting.